in this example, an English lady and her 2 children were told to leave, and then the landlord, the person who owns the house, gets refugees in and more money. So English person is left with no house, and then we have
children.
2 children. Yeah.
No house.
No.
Why?
Because she lived in your house, and the landlord kicked them out. So you and others could
I'm
live.
going to hear for children. No, this is not. This is lying.
No.
No.
Before you guys moved.
No,
in,
no. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 4, 3, or 1 home for rent. Yeah. You have 1 refugee person, and then you have 1 children. You give children in this home or refugee. Yeah, of course you bury this children. This is lying.
No, but the landlord kicked the children out.
No, this is
No,
lying.
he did.
Why?
But why? Because it's more money. Because, Serco, the management company, they pay more money if you have refugees, asylum seekers. The government gives them lots of money, so the landlord makes more money by having you guys in there instead of the English lady with their kids. So that's why maybe sometimes you may experience British people being a bit upset. So it's not your fault, but it's the landlord and the government and Serco. You see?
I'm sorry.
No, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. You come here, you are escaping being killed, but that's maybe why sometimes you experience maybe British people are a bit cold,
I'm so
Just one example.
Yeah, thank you. I'm so sorry. This is not good news. This is very bad news. I don't know.
In a quiet English town, the housing crisis has collided with the asylum system in a way that is drawing national attention. An Afghan asylum seeker, recently interviewed by reporter Ben Leo, outside a property converted into a house in multiple occupation, Hey Shmo, admitted he was placed in accommodation where a single mother and her 2 children had been evicted only weeks earlier. He now shares the house with 5 other migrants. The revelation has reignited a bitter political debate over Britain's strained housing stock, immigration policy, and the fairness of prioritization. For many, the image of a local family being forced onto the streets, while taxpayer-funded contracts guarantee housing for asylum seekers, epitomizes a system out of balance. Neighbors told reporters that the single mother who had lived in the house for years was given notice by the landlord after the property was secured under a home office contract. She didn't want to leave. The kids were settled in school. But when you're renting and the landlord decides, there's little choice, said one local resident. Housing activists point out that Britain's rental market is in deep crisis. Evictions are at a record high, social housing is scarce, and private landlords increasingly turn to government-backed refugee schemes that offer guaranteed rent, having struggling local tenants with little bargaining power. The Afghan man interviewed by Ben Leo insisted he was grateful for the accommodation and denied responsibility for the family's eviction. I didn't know someone lived here before. I came because the Home Office sent me, he said, visibly uncomfortable as questions turned to the displaced family. Opposition parties have seized on the story. Critics accuse the government of outsourcing compassion to the private rental market at the expense of British citizens. Right-leaning commentators frame the eviction as evidence of a two-tier Britain, where locals are left behind, while new arrivals are shielded by state contracts. The Home Office has defended its approach, citing a legal duty to house asylum seekers awaiting decisions. Officials stress that landlords remain free to decide whom they rent to, though campaigners argue the financial incentives distort the market. The case is unlikely to be isolated. With more than 100,000 asylum seekers currently in the UK and councils under pressure to find placements, landlords are increasingly converting properties into haymoss. Critics say this leads to overcrowding, strains on local services, and resentment among residents who feel their needs are deprioritized. Meanwhile, the displaced single mother has reportedly been placed in temporary accommodation outside her community. Local councillors warn the situation is emblematic of a national failure to protect both our residents and the integrity of our asylum commitments. The interview may have been brief, but its implications are profound. A family evicted, 6 migrants installed, and a reporter's camera capturing the uneasy exchange on the doorstep. This is the housing crisis in raw form. As Britain heads into another winter of rising rents, overburdened councils, and fierce debates over immigration, the question remains, who is the system really built to protect?
Why on earth isn't what Tony Blair is suggesting already being done? I mean, kind of honey traps, fake AI profiles. It's basic stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you raise a good point, Patrick. Maybe it was your trip to the migrant camp in Calais last month which inspired them. I think this speaks to an insouciance on behalf of the authorities, both on the French side and our own government, in being dynamic in solving this problem. They seem to be completely out of ideas, and of course this measure of trying to intercept smugglers with honey traps and the like may complicate their operations somewhat, may even frustrate their love lives. But I don't think that it's going to be a silver bullet to the problem. It's not going to put a dent in the business model at all.
No, I just can't believe how unbelievably thick this is. And the idea that this hasn't already been done should be deeply, deeply concerning. So the implication is, bear in mind the Tony Blair Institute is a remarkably well-connected, politically speaking, organisation, a think tank. So they must know that our security services are basically not trying to infiltrate these gangs using these methods.
Well, you would presume that is the case. Yes, I mean this is common practice among law enforcement agencies for a whole raft of crimes, and so it shows that the seriousness with which they're taking immigration is not the same level as maybe drug dealing or other serious crime. I did think that to its credit, the Tony Blair Institute did come up with some sensible suggestions. Some of them were quite broad in the sense of framing this issue as a threat to societal cohesion and national security, and I think that's essential. This isn't just like any other crime. This is devastating our politics, our national social fabric, and so I think that is a step in the right direction. I also think that getting ahead of these gangs in terms of the technology and the use of AI is also very sensible. But as you've suggested, Patrick, this is quite shocking that this hasn't already been implemented.
Well, it's behind the curve. It's behind the curve, and I think seriously, if anyone in positions of authority cared half as much about the invasion of Britain as the vast majority of the British public do, we wouldn't still be here now talking about this stuff. But